Welcome to Books to Read. I'm Matt Hernandez, and today we're looking at Janet Evanovich's novel, Fearless 14, a Stephanie Plum novel. Here's the cover. Before reading this novel, I had never heard of Janet Evanovich or Stephanie Plum before. So it wasn't until I nearly finished this that I realized that Fearless 14, that it's just the 14th novel in this series. So, of course, there would be some plot points that maybe a few little strands of things were kind of missing, such as Lula being engaged to one of Ranger's employees. Ranger works security, and Ranger seems to be a recurring character in this series, along with some of his employees. And so nothing really happens with that, just some comical references here and there and that kind of thing. So I guess it would stretch throughout the series. And if this is the 14th novel in the series, maybe this series is very episodic, or sorry, maybe it's very serial in the sense that each novel just acts like an episode in the whole, and and maybe Janet Evanovich lets the series just play out very gradually over time, and maybe some strands come up later on, such as the plot for this novel is that it takes place 10 years after a bank robbery, and the money's never been recovered. So now that a character named Dom is out of prison, he wants the money. So Stephanie Plum, she spends a lot of time with, I guess you can say, her boyfriend, Morelli. And there's a little bit of a love triangle between her and a man who she also likes named Ranger. But of course, in this novel, she spends most of her time with Morelli. And I'd be curious to know, how does some of this go? I mean, this novel implies that she stays with Morelli. But, I mean, do we know? Because, I mean, if this is book 14 and there are 30 of these books, I mean, what happens 16 books from now? So we don't really see that so much of the novel is about this money, about recovering $9 million, and about four partners who had helped each other steal the money 10 years prior, trying to recover that money. And, we don't see so much of that plot happening for quite a while in the novel. What do we see? We see Stephanie Plum helping work security with Ranger. We see Stephanie Plum being working her bonds job, helping arrest people and having them, doing part of that bonds process. Maybe I should have read a bit more on part of that to make this video and stuff like that to speak on better depth, because the novel doesn't explain the whole thing as well, and I should probably be a bit more responsible when going over this. So when the novel starts, Stephanie is arresting Loretta. Who's Loretta? Well, Loretta is actually Morelli's distant cousin. Loretta is also Dom's, their siblings. So when Stephanie arrests Loretta, she says, okay, but what about my son? Now, Stephanie hopes that it won't take that long, but I suppose Stephanie has a bit of sympathy because she knows that her boyfriend and this person are distant cousins. So Stephanie picks up Mario from school, Mario being Loretta's son. Mario enjoys graffiti, he enjoys playing video games, and he goes by the nickname Zook. Well, she picks him up, and we just see some of these misadventures for quite a while in the novel, and it's really funny. And it'll even start as soon as they introduce this Brenda character. I knew this novel was a comedy. Maybe I was a little dense that I didn't get it any sooner. But then, a little over halfway, the novel does a great shift from comedy to mystery and quite a bit of action. And the author twists that superbly. And I really admire her skill to do that. And some of the stuff just kind of leans into absurdity, but She handles it quite well, and it all kind of stays within this world, this strange stalker and a character who wants to just loiter around and with a 14-year-old and talk about video games. And it all kind of fits well within this world. And it did kind of make me wonder, is this character responsible? Is that character responsible? What'll happen in the next novel? So now maybe I will be interested in picking up the next novel in the series to see what happens with some of that. Well, maybe I've spoken long enough to start showing you some of the pages that stuck out for me. Okay, this is the author, Janet Evanovich. This is just a picture I found online. This is her from the back cover here. This is the cover of the book. Okay, here. So once you get to page 24, hey, maybe I'm dense. I gotta do better on this. I'm doing my best. But then it just jumps out at you that this is a comedy and how hysterical parts of this will be. Here on the bottom of page 24, I have nothing to wear, Brenda said. What am I supposed to wear? Honestly, why am I surrounded by amateurs? Is it too much to ask for a stylist here? Where's my stylist? First no Blanc, and now no stylist. How am I supposed to work under these conditions? Nancy Cullen disappeared into the bedroom, and 10 minutes later, Brenda swished out, followed by Nancy. Brenda was slim and toned and spray tanned to something resembling orange mud. She had big boobs, lots of curly auburn hair, tipped with blonde, and her lips looked like they'd been inflated with an air hose. She was wearing red knit strapless tube dress that could double for skin, 4-inch spike-heeled shoes, and a off-sheared mink jacket. She looked like Santa's senior off-season hoe. Yeah, so Brenda, they do mention a few names of a few celebrities. I believe Madonna, maybe one or two more. And she's supposed to be like kind of from that era. But now, this novel, published in 2008, so maybe she's a little bit older than some of these other celebrities. And she's not aging gracefully. And the point with the mink jacket is going to matter in this next page. So they go to an event, and it's an animal rights awareness event. Okay, so here on page 27, it even says, Thursday's event will benefit the humane treatment of animals. Here on the top, it says, a jacket? What kind of jacket? What kind do you think it is? I think it's mink. Bingo. Brenda said. You have a lot of nerve, the woman said. Was this done as a deliberate insult, sweetheart? Brenda said. When I insult someone, they know they've been insulted. so you could just see this comedy just jump out. I mean, it might not be necessary to show this, but this character Brenda just keeps butting into things way past Ranger and his team working security, which of course Stephanie is just working as an employee under Ranger in this scenario, or a couple after this. And Brenda, being a big time celebrity, later on it keeps butting into Stephanie's life. Okay, so we can see a bit of this love triangle here on the bottom right. Ranger had offered me the use of his bed, but I didn't think it was a good idea. I checked on Zook, and he was with my parents, sleeping in my old bedroom. I had my own apartment, but that had little appeal tonight. Truth is, I missed Morelli. I cruised by his house, and the porch light was on, so I parked and went to the door. Of course, I'm intrigued by where this love triangle goes. I mean, this is what the 14th book in this series. What's been happening in this love triangle, with other things here? Okay. Next, jumping to pages 80 and 81. So they're in the kitchen, and the plot still hasn't come to full swing. This book has been a pretty easy read, though I am embarrassed to say that maybe a detail or two that I may have missed, but I still think that that could be just because I've not read enough of the series. So I do wonder if there were little breadcrumbs to pieces inside of other parts of the series. So Stephanie and Morelli are in the kitchen. Morelli's preparing breakfast. And then here on the bottom right hand side on page 81, so what's your take on it? I asked him, morbid curiosity winning out over trust and sensitivity. Do you think it's possible that you're Zook's father? I guess anything is possible, considering my hit and run lifestyle back then, Morelli said, but I can't see me doing it with Loretta. And I think Loretta would have come to me for help by now. Besides, I always used condoms, even in high school. You didn't with me. You were different. We were lucky I didn't get pregnant. You know, and you know, it it comes up to be a little bit gross if any of that was true, but Morelli is saying it isn't true. But Dom was saying it had to be true, and maybe that's a page I should have screenshot. Okay, I mean, this whole scene to me was quite hysterical. So we go from page 81, now here on pages 88 and 89. Oh my gosh, would I have to read this whole thing? Okay, so from the top of 88. No, but I heard. Well, okay, maybe a little experience, but not with a stalker. My mother was at the door waiting for me. How do you attract these strange men? My mother asked. They're never normal. He's a stalker, Lula said. Lula works directly at the bonds agency with Stephanie. They're partners there. He might even be a little dangerous. I turned and looked at Lula. What about the sealed lips? Oh, I forgot. I got carried away. He's confused. He's confused, I said to my mother. I just need to talk to him. Where is he? He's in the kitchen. I have a full house today. Your mother is in the dining room with Betty Greenblatt and Ruth Zuch. They're all insane. They each have a computer and they're playing that game. I don't even think they take bathroom breaks. I think they're all wearing Depends. They said they're ganging up on a griefer. I don't. They don't like being disturbed, so you'll have to sneak past them. My mother, Lula, and I tiptoed past Grandma, Betty, and Ruth. They were all dressed like Zook, and they were all hunched over their computers. I bet we got a bad snort here, girls, Betty said. Let's kick ass. This looks like the Queen of the Damned costume party at the Shady Rest nursing home, Lula whispered to me. Is that what the golden years look like? I heard that, Ruth said. The golden years are for pussies. We went straight to brass. The stalker was in the kitchen stirring a pot of chili. He did a big smile when he saw me. Surprise, he said. So you're the stalker, Lula said, looking him over. I thought you'd be nastier. You're kind of a disappointment. Yeah, he said. I'm not any good at this. I can't get anyone to pay attention to me. You gotta look assertive if you want to get people to hear you, Lula said. You gotta talk with authority. You gotta walk and use the language. You see what I'm saying? I guess so. I guess I can try that. He stiffened his spine and pointed his finger at me. Listen, bitch. My mother gave him a whack on the head with her wooden spoon. Behave yourself. Don't you have anything better to do? I asked him. Don't you have a job? I'm currently between positions. I had a job, but then I had a dream. And I had to give up the job so I could follow Brenda around. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, Lula said. This is about a dream? I told all this to the police and the judge and the psychiatrist, the stalker said. Then you should have the story down good, Lula said. Tell me about it. 3 years ago, I was struck by lightning in the Walmart parking lot. All my hair fell out, and when it grew back, it was all this white color, and I was sort of psychic. Sometimes people glow, and I can see their aura. See, this whole scene I find quite hysterical. You got three ladies who I guess could be in a senior folks' home. They're playing video games with a 14-year-old, and they're at Stephanie's mother's house. She seems to be the only rational one out of all of them. Some stalker found out where she lived, so that way she can try to speak, or so that way he could try to speak to Stephanie, because Stephanie's close to Brenda, and of course the stalker is stalking the celebrity. And Lula, Stephanie's partner and friend, tagged along with her to go here. It's all quite a hysterical scene, don't you think? Okay, now, and then here we get introduced to another character, Mooner. Guy kind of comes out of nowhere, kind of wondering what's his connection going to be with everything. And so I guess Zook must be one of the best people at this game, because Mooner wants to play with him. So here on page 119, it says, "I'm Zook," Mario said from the couch. Mooner looked in at him. "The little dude is Zook? I could totally dig it. It's always a little dude." "Who are you?" Zook asked. "I'm Moondog." "No way!" "Way, man," Mooner said. "I hacked this address. I wanted to see what you look like." "Man, you're harsh." I was having a good run, and you ruined my parade. You and Scorch. I'm like all bummed now." Okay, here. Now let's look at another interesting kind of quote. So, Brenda has decided that maybe the next step for her is reality television. And how can she do it? She can follow around Stephanie and collect on one of the bonds. So she follows Stephanie and Lula, goes to one of the houses, and now let's look here on the right-hand side when they go to collect on one of these and make an arrest. Here on the right-hand side on page 131. "Why'd your boyfriend jump on the car?" Lula wanted to know. Guess he didn't want you to go." "Had nothing to do with me. It was that I took Carl. He just wanted his precious Carl." "Isn't that tragic?" Brenda said. "You have a little boy." "A split is always hard on the children. Actually, Carl's a monkey," Susan said. Lula snapped her head around. "He isn't here, is he? Nothing personal, but I hate monkeys. I have him in the bathroom. He gets excited when strangers come around the apartment." "I have to see this," Brenda said, crossing in the closed bathroom door. "What kind of monkey is it?" "Don't open the door!" Susan said. Too late. Brenda yanked the door open, and the monkey launched himself out at her and draped himself over her head. I mean, it's kind of insane, like it doesn't really fit in with everything else. But then Janet Evanovich finds a place to have a monkey jump at somebody. I think it's quite funny too. Okay, here, so 172 to 171. So people have decided to start digging into Morelli's yard, looking for the money. Now I need to learn to get better at trying to screenshot the previous page as well, but somebody's digging in his yard, and when Morelli goes to say, like, "Hey, what's going on?" Somebody goes, "Hey man, you can't stop me." That starts on the last page, and then here, "Look at me, I'm so scared," the guy said. "Call the cops. Call the cops on me." Morelli badged him. "I am the cops." The guy looked at Morelli's badge. "Oh, sorry." Everyone dispersed after that. And Morelli, Zook, Mooner, Gary, and I, the stalker's name is Gary, and I trooped into the house. There's kind of a sense of humor, and it really kind of tells you maybe what Janet Evanovich thinks other people think about the law, or at least here in this town of Trenton. But she must think people have a very cavalier and passive view about the law, and they just kind of don't care. I mean, it would explain how Stephanie and Lula treat their own job. So, on this next page, I kind of forgot who took the lead on it, if it was more Mooner or Gary, but they concoct an idea that one way to protect Morelli's house was to make a sort of a potato cannon, as they call it here on page 229. So we're looking here on pages 228, 229, here on the left-hand side on page 228. Everything looks status quo at Morelli's. It was an early afternoon, but there was no activity. The crime scene tape was still in place. No gawkers present. Lula pulled to the curb, took the key out of the ignition, and there was a sound like a grenade getting launched, and then thud! Something hits the passenger side door. What the bejesus was that? Lula yelled, "Incoming! We're under attack! Call SWAT!" No, wait a minute. I hate those SWAT guys. Mooner waved at me from Morelli's small front porch. Sorry, he said. My bad. Yeah, I mean, how the author thinks of this and what characters it'll be and how they react. It's like she thinks of some of these absurd characters, but then she wants us to experience how they would react whenever they first interact with one another. And I find it quite funny. Hey, well, it looks like that was actually the last page that I had done. I'm still trying to see just how far towards the end of some of these books to go before I start spoiling some things, maybe around the end of it and that type of thing. I don't want to maybe spoil all these, but I did want to show that it is quite a comical book, and it does turn out to be quite an interesting mystery. I mean, along with one of the pages I had shown you was somebody digging in Morelli's yard, which then is part of the mystery about, well, where's this money? And even what any random bystander might try to do to hope to get lucky. And yeah, so I thought it was a pretty funny book, and I think I've covered enough of it. So with that, this review should probably be over. Have a great day.